Wihtred was king of Kent from about 690 or 691 until his death. He was a son of Ecgberht I and a brother of Eadric. Wihtred acceded to the throne after a confused period in the 680s, which included a brief conquest of Kent by Cædwalla of Wessex and subsequent dynastic conflicts. His immediate predecessor was Oswine of Kent, who was probably descended from Eadbald of Kent, though not through the same line as Wihtred. Shortly after the start of his reign, Wihtred issued a code of laws, the Law of Wihtredthat, that has been preserved in a manuscript known as the Textus Roffensis. The laws pay a great deal of attention to the rights of the Church, including punishment for irregular marriages and for pagan worship. Wihtred's long reign had few incidents recorded in the annals of the day. He was succeeded in 725 by his sons, Ælfric II, Eadberht I, and Ælfric. A dominant force in large 7th century politics south of the river Humber was Wulfhere of Mercia, who reigned from the late 650s to 675. The King of Kent for much of this time was Ecgberht, who died in 673. Ecgbert's sons, Eadric and Wihtred, were probably no more than infants of 2 or 3 years old when their father died, and Wulfhere was their uncle by virtue of his marriage to Eadmund, Ecgbert's sister. Lawsthe, Ecgbert's brother, became King of Kent, but not until about a year later, in 674, and it may be that Wulfhere opposed the accession of Lawsthe, and was the effective ruler of Kent during this year-long interregnum. Eadric raised an army against his uncle, and Lawsthe died of wounds sustained in battle in February 685, or possibly 686. Eadric died the following year, and according to Bede, whose ecclesiastical history of the English people is one of the primary sources for this period, the kingdom fell apart into disorder. Cædwalla of Wessex invaded in 686, and established his brother Mull as king there. Cædwalla may have ruled Kent directly for a period, when Mull was killed in 687. When Cædwalla departed for Rome in 688, Oswine, who was probably supported by Æthelberht of Mercia, took the throne for a time. Oswine lost power in 690, but Æthelberht, who had been a king in Kent for a year or two, remained. There is clear evidence that both Æthelberht and Oswine were kings at the same time, as each witnessed the other's charters. It seems that Oswine was king of East Kent, which was usually the position of the dominant king, while Æthelberht was king of West Kent. Wihtred emerged from this disarray, and became king in the early 690s. Bede describes his accession by saying that he was the rightful king, and that he freed the nation from foreign invasion by his devotion and diligence. Oswine was also of the royal family, and arguably had a claim to the throne. Hence it has been suggested that Bede's comments here are strongly partisan. Bede's correspondent on Kentish affairs was Albinus, abbot of the monastery of St. Peter and St. Paul in Canterbury, and these views can almost certainly be ascribed to the church establishment there. 2 charters provide evidence of Wihtred's date of accession. 1, dated April 697, indicates Wihtred was then in the 6th year of his rule, so his accession can be dated to some time between April 691 and April 692. Another, dated 17 July 694, is in his 4th regnal year, giving a possible range of July 690 to July 691. The overlap in date ranges gives April to July 691 as the likely date of his accession. Another estimate of the date of Wihtred's accession can be made from the duration of his reign, given by Bede as 34.5 years. He died on 23 April 725, which would imply an accession date in large 690. Initially Wihtred ruled alongside Æthelberht. Bede's report of the election of Beatwald as Archbishop of Canterbury in July 692 mentions that Æthelberht and Wihtred were the kings of Kent, but Æthelberht is not heard of after this date. It appears that by 694 Wiht was the sole ruler of Kent, though it may also be that his son Æthelberht was a junior king in West Kent during Wiht's reign. Wiht is thought to have had 3 wives. His first was called Cædwalla, but a charter of 696 names Æthelberht as the royal consort and co-owner of an estate. The former spouse must have died, or been dismissed after a short time. Near the end of his reign, a new wife, Wihtred attested with her husband and son, Ælfric,